Hi there everyone, this is Laura here from Laura's Creative Pages and Cards, and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I'm currently in the process of doing a series of the sketches that are found in our annual catalogue on page 22. So if you have an annual catalogue, or if you go onto the online annual catalogue, you'll see this lovely little collection of sketches, and what I'm doing is just going through the process of giving you the dimensions that I've chosen to use, and I'm showcasing all of the products with the Country Woods paper pack and the Country Flowers stamp die bundle. So let's dive straight into number 7. So what I've encouraged people to do is get an exercise book and just draw up the diagram, and then I'm going to give you the sizes. So card number 7 is simply got this dovetailed little banner in there, but I have actually chosen to add on a back matting, which is cut at 5 1/4 by 4, because I'm just working on white card bases. So I've got 5 1/4 by 4. Now this dovetailed banner here is cut at 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. Okay, so that's 2 1/2 by 3 3/4, and that's what I've cut this piece here at. I've just given it a dovetail, and then I've just attached that with some 3D foam tape to be able to put some twine across it. And I did add on a little element there. So it is a very, very simple diagram sketch, but it is come out absolutely beautiful. So that's number 7, really easy. Okay, let's dive into number 8. This has to be one of my favorite ones. I love it because it actually showcases a huge variety of the paper in one go, and it's very simple. And you know, if you didn't add on the flowers, it would be quite masculine, but you can definitely just die cut some of the flowers out of the Country Flowers set. Okay, now I'm going to give you the sizes, and you're probably going to really dislike me on this one, but if you can see how amazing that looks, the sizes work perfectly. Now what I have actually done is I have mounted each of these rectangles onto a piece of white cardstock first before attaching to the card. It just helps with getting the spacing correct, and then it ends up being in the very center of the card perfectly. So the backing that I've cut out for this is 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so that's a piece of white cardstock cut at 5 1/4 by 4. Now the 9 panels, so A to I, are all cut at 1 1/4, so that's the width. The height is 1 11/16, and it is really important that you actually do the 16ths to get that perfect sizing gapping. So the 1 11/16 is, you find 1 5/8 and you go to the tiniest line straight after 5/8, and then that is the 11/16. Okay, so that's where you get your 11/16. Okay, and then this last panel here is cut at 3 1/4 by 3/4. 3 1/4 in length and then 3/4 in height, and it has been dovetailed. Of course, you could change that up if you like. So that is that card there, which is fantastic. It is a little tricky with the cut size, but I think it's absolutely worth it. Okay, now we're moving on to card 9, which again has a lot of pieces, but looks absolutely fantastic when it's finished. So I've just got my plain white card base, and I've cut A to J, which is 10 strips. But what I did was I've cut 5 colours and 2 of each one. And then what I have done is, when I've got one colour, so I've cut 5 of them at half by 3 3/4, and then I've cut 5 of them at half by 3 5/8, so that you can get a lot more movement and, you know, just really fun look to the background of this. So yeah, so for this I've done 5 of them at half by 3 3/4 and 5 of them at half by 3 5/8. So every colour I've done one of each size. So I hope that makes sense. Of course, you could just go with just 2 colours all the way up and down. You can do 10 complete different colours, whatever it might be. It's entirely up to you. It is a sketch. Now for the circle, the maximum I went at was 2 1/2. So that's my dark blue circle there, is a 2 1/2. And then I just layered it with a 2 1/4 circle over the top. So yeah, so that's the circle part that I've done on that one as well. Okay, moving on to sketch number 10. This has turned out absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased with this. Now this one was just A and B, but I've just drawn a little diagram in there because, again, I opted to have a back matting, and I cut that at 5 1/4 by 4. So that's the back matting. And then for A is the dovetailed piece, and I've cut that at 3.5 by 2. And then B, which is the square on top, is 2.5 by 2.5. So this one just is really, again, very pleasantly simple. And then I've just put a little bit of twine in the background and then added on my elements to that top square there, and it's just turned out stunning. So that is design number 10. And then we've got the last one to complete halfway through the series, which is design number 11. So that's this one here. So it's just 4 little elements to make this center rectangle, and then 1 element across the middle there. So again, when it comes to being able to put elements like this into the center of a card, I've chosen to mount it straight onto a piece of white card as well. So you can see here there's a piece of white card, because once those are mounted on the card, I can center it properly. So my matting for the elements is 5 1/8 by 3 1/8. And then with this one here, A and B are exactly the same size. So this is A and B, and this is cut at 1.5 by 3.5. So it's a 1.5 width by 3.5. And then C and D, which are these 2 squares here, are cut at 1.5 by 1.5 square. And so then they just create that perfect little rectangle there. Now, I was a bit silly and I cut dark brown and dark brown, but no matter where you went, it ended up, you know, if I put the dark brown up here, they were touching. So you will need to look at being, you know, doing your colors quite well. So I've kept those 2 the same, and it just turned out beautifully. And then this part E here, which is this blue piece here, is cut at 2.5 by 5/8, and then you can decorate it with any element over the top. And for this one, I decided to go with simply just a sentiment, because this one says, "So lucky to know you," and I thought this is absolutely ideal as a masculine card. So I didn't put any pretty elements onto it. Just adding that little bit of twine made it so that it was actually really quite rustic, and it's suitable for any gender at all whatsoever. So there we go. So that is number 11, and we are halfway through the sketches. I hope you have been enjoying this series, and I look forward to sharing with you part 3 in the very near future. Okay, bye.